All right. Hello. Excuse me. Hello and welcome, everybody. And thank you for joining us for another live broadcast. Excuse me. I'm your host, Zen Garcia, and this is Momentary Zen here on Revolution Radio. And we stream uh, every Wednesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, on both of our platforms, Revolution Radio, which you can find at freedomslips.com. And you can join us for our live chat on our YouTube channel, Endeavor Freedom. We also stream on Saturdays for our DRC, the Digital Readers Club, but that's on our other YouTube channel. The chat room is live there, and that is the Zen Garcia chat room. Tonight we are going to continue with our end time study. Lisa George is with me again this evening. And we're going to pick up, this will be the fifth in the discourse on this particular series, and we're kind of reading through some of the most important manuscripts that are part of the Great Commission 3 series, which the third book is about the end time apocalypses as they were revealed by various apostles, some that we don't find reference very much at all in the canonical materials. Certainly, Peter and Paul are predominant within the book of Acts and other portions of the New Testament Gospels, but there are so many others that were very important in establishing the early ecclesia and in doing the work of sharing the gospel, the good news of salvation through Christ, and that Christ had ascended to the right hand of his Father, and that he had overcome death and been resurrected to life. And which, of course, that is the good news. And they were given the Great Commission to go forth and to share this with the world. During the Pentecost, Shavuot, when they drew straws and the Holy Spirit came upon them, depending on which area of the world they would trek to and which people they would um, intermingle with, communicate with, and share fellowship with, they were given the extraordinary capability of speaking in their language and being able to directly share dialogue with them, and to also hear and understand their inquiries. And for a lot of these people, um, that had to have been quite fascinating, especially if they had never been traveled to and no other apostle or any other travelers had come through their area, especially not with the miracles that followed the apostles, which made for, I would say, extraordinary and maybe easy conversion. But of course, the pagan philosophies and religions and the belief in support of the fallen angels and their agenda and their worship, which was the demand of blood sacrifice, that ran rampant throughout the world. And most of the world was pagan in origin, finding their belief systems rooted in the Anunnaki, the rebel angels, those who from the heavens to the earth came. And so that was the challenge in sharing the truth of the gospel. And even in this day and age, we see that many are embracing and returning back to a lot of these pagan theologies, believing that, going back to what they consider to be the oldest, which, of course, we know now that, the Thracians preceded even the Sumerian teachings, in that the Bible was based on the belief of the Thracians in Elohim and also in Isis, the Lamb of God. But anyways, tonight we're going to be sharing also from these sibling oracles, but we'll catch up on some current events. Lisa, how are you doing, sister?
Hey, Zen. Great to hear your voice. You're sounding great, brother. It's so good to hear you healing. I'm just
Thank
praising
you.
God for you and for your healing. It's awesome to hear, Zen.
You as
But
well.
yeah, I'm doing well. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Speaking of healing, I just got done stinging. I'm up to 8 bee stings 3 times a week now. And it's really helping so much. Like I really look forward to getting stung, which I know it sounds weird, but after just like 5 minutes of pain, then comes so much relief in all my muscles, and the spasms have calmed down quite a bit. And I was able, actually, I've been off the antibiotics for now for about a week, and so far so good. I got a little bit sick at first just because my body was in shock after being on those for like 4 months, but I can't even imagine what it was like for you to be on it for over 10 years, I think you said, right?
Yeah, multiple, probably 14 to 15 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it is
So
absolutely
you're,
crazy.
yeah, it's just such a freeing feeling to not have to like be tied down to something from big pharma though, right?
Oh, without a doubt. That's the most amazing thing because, the antibodies, even though, yeah, they help when is necessary, but they destroy so much of what is the gut bacteria, the good biofilm in your body, and they cause candida and C. diff and yeast infections, and so it's not good to have long-term exposure to antibodies and continual usage of them. And so I also have been off of them for, I think it's been maybe 5 or 6 weeks now, which is
Wow.
absolutely amazing. But
That's a miracle.
yeah, I'm at the very end of the phages. I have 7 more days, and so that will be the test thereafter. But I'm also taking a lot of um, regular natural antibodies that are helpful with destroying the biofilm that causes continual bacteria resistant infections. Because I've learned that that's the issue, not just treating for normal urinary tract infections, but that it is the biofilm that builds up in your body from the overuse of antibodies that has to be the focus of your attention if you're trying to get
Hmm.
back to health and well-being, of which I am. So
Yeah, I find that too. I the biofilm had really developed a lot in my body. Also, I think I shared with you a couple of years ago that I had like I had severe candida. Maybe 20 years ago, I was diagnosed, and then I changed my diet, did all kinds of stuff, and then but it always comes back. If I revert any little amount, if I eat sugar for a few days,
right,
just have a couple of desserts. Oh my goodness, it comes back so fast. It's just crazy. It was driving me nuts because I love sweets, but I have figured out a way to make things without using sugar, just using other natural sweeteners like honey.
right,
Maple syrup, natural maple syrup is great. But as far as the biofilms go, yeah, that's one thing that the bee venom destroys also, because that's what the parasites and the bacteria and all the nasty stuff likes to make, so they can hide in there and your immune system cannot attack it like it normally would. And so I've noticed that as the biofilm is being destroyed by this bee venom, especially, I sting my spine. All of the according to like Chinese acupuncture, all of the different spinal sections are linked to parts of your body, as you know. And so
right,
sting, like today I just focused on my neck area, and so I can feel it all going up into my head. And I don't have I used to have this weird kind of like spongy feeling when I'd touch my skull, like there was liquid up there or something, and that's totally gone. So I praise Yah for that, and for his healing, and for giving us these tools that we're not going to find. I have my book, 29 Doctors, we're not going to find among the American Medical Association, but in other countries, like we're discovering like Romania, Slovenia, of course, New Zealand is known for having excellent honey and beekeepers. They're very, very strict about what people can bring in and out of that country. But those countries, like Romania, has a full-on training course for medical doctors in their country using apitherapy, using bee venom. And so we've been in touch with a doctor over there who's in charge of the training program for apitherapy, and we've been praying about it. It seems like Yah is leading us in that direction, especially for me, because when I was disabled, 20 over a little over 20 years now, I wasn't able to be a child psychologist anymore. I wasn't able to use my degree. I just was too tired and just too sick all the time. So this would be a way that I can still use the tools and talents that Yah has given me to help other people. And so really looking forward to learning more, because I know a little bit, like I've just learned a little bit online and from the apitherapist we were in touch with here in Hawaii, but she has left the islands. So now it's kind of like there's nobody else in Hawaii who's certified. So I thought, maybe it's about time that I get certified for something like this, because I
Oh, that
think
would
it's
be
like an
awesome.
upcoming, yeah, I think it's like an up and coming therapy that people are turning to natural healing instead of all of big pharma stuff.
Yeah,
Similar to
without
what
a
you're doing,
doubt.
Zen. That is an up and coming therapy for people who have, like you or like me, who have been on antibiotics for extended periods of time. And this would be, it's just so amazing that we've had to do so much research, right? To like try to find these things hidden underneath all of the garbage that we've been given. But I
Right.
just praise Yah that he's so faithful in
Yes.
showing us what we need to do to heal.
Oh God, I was just even 7 months ago stuck in a hole, and hopeless. I
Oh,
had
yeah.
no idea which way to go with possible remedy, and I was suffering so greatly, and it was horrible, and there was just nothing I could do. And so, yeah, I give thanks to the Most High for answer and direction. That is the most incredible thing, to have, uh, answer to your prayers and have a direction to go to try to help yourself. And I know that a lot of, even our listeners are suffering from uh, similar things. Of course, I know my situation is different than most because of the paralysis and disability, but there are others out there that are familiar with even my situation. And so, we try to share what we can, because, the doctors certainly didn't help. They didn't help you. They didn't help me. They don't know what to do with us. And so
Right.
we were forced to go and try to find answer. And I think without a doubt, because we are prayer warriors, and that we have such gratitude to the Most High for just all the blessings that He pours out upon us, that this is, one of the reasons why we are still here and still being able to share through these platforms even our experiences, because the whole world is contending with sugar and dialysis and insulin and, you know, um, just pre-diabetes and not being able to uh, function correctly because of just our overconsumption of sugar, and how the manufacturing, the food industry, they put it in everything. And it's
Mm-hmm.
insane the amounts of sugar they are pouring into stuff. Like I recently saw something about Subway and how their loaves of bread have more sugar than a candy bar. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and it's insane. I will never eat at Subway ever again, which I don't
No.
usually eat fast food anymore at all because of,
Mm-hmm.
just trying to avoid sugar, and how everything, I mean, is basically that, Um, when you
Oh, yeah.
go and eat fast food, like the buns and the fries and all that, which I always try to substitute salads and stuff. But still, you just don't know what kind of ingredients, nor the the cleanliness of any of the restaurants, or the kind of people that you're dealing with, in restaurants and service, and so you just have to be careful. And most places use margarine, which I don't eat margarine
Mm-hmm.
at all, which is not a food item. Why they, how they've tricked us into believing it is just another one of the insane things with the world. So much
Yep.
insanity still prevails in people's normal lives. But go ahead, Lisa. Let me give you a chance to comment.
No, I totally agree. And not to mention like all the seed oils, the things that they
Yes,
fry, the
exactly.
fries and the I
Right,
mean, that's like something you should be putting in your car, not something to cook food in,
right.
It's just and the corn syrup, just one thing that we've seen. I mean, we were like avid readers of labels, and it was kind of
Yes,
tough when we were overseas because, trying to read in either Korean or Japanese was a challenge. But we do have Google Translate on our phone, so we could just hold that up there and just see. And the total difference of what they put in the same package of, just say, like, for example, chips. It's same bag of chips, same brand and everything. Totally different ingredients in Japan or Korea than in the US, because the US throws in all of the other chemicals and junk and everything. And they're still not the greatest thing in Korea or Japan, like just say Doritos or something. But they don't have like the maltodextrin, they don't have the corn syrup, they don't have the nitrate. I mean, they just throw in all of this stuff in our food here in the US. It's pretty obvious what their agenda is when you
oh
look
yeah,
at the
without a doubt.
overseas brands of food. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And they've succeeded so greatly. Because look at how much people are obese in this country, even the children,
Mm-hmm.
and how much just food allergies people have from what they eat. What they, all the processed foods, all the fake colors, just, like you said, the high fructose corn syrup, the MSG. I mean, even the Sonomex, which is the abortive fetal tissue that they use as a flavor enhancement, in which they put
Ugh.
into different soft drinks. And also, I just watched, and we're going to go into the end time studies pretty soon, everybody. But I think it's important that we discuss these kind of health issues and, what's going on with all of us individually as well, and as community, and certainly those of you that are suffering for anything, or if you need prayer, you can certainly reach out to us. And Lisa does, collective prayers for people on specifics. So you can reach out to us, and certainly we will respond and try to provide answer where we can. But yeah, it is insane. The monosodium glutamate, all the high fructose corn syrups, and as you said, the seed oils, and but the preservatives, the names of all the things that you can't even spell, and can't even um, pronounce, and, you have no idea why they are in stuff, and a lot of things
Yeah.
are put in directly to cause disease, to keep people sick, and to make us lethargic as well. Lisa.
Oh yeah. Totally. Like, we were just, for example, we were walking through Costco last night, and yes, I know it's owned by like probably a government entity and everything, but we really don't have that many choices here in Hawaii of where else to shop. So just for example, we were looking at bread, and Costco does have organic things, so called organic. I'm not 100% sure if they actually are, but we were just looking at ingredients because we were looking for bread that had the least amount of ingredients. And even the things that are labeled organic, they put as one of their ingredients organic canola oil. I was like, how can that even be
Right.
a thing? Like, that's so tricky to put that in there. Or,
Uh-huh.
organic corn syrup. They'll put that kind of stuff on the label, and just to make you all confused. But we did find one Costco bread that only had like 4 ingredients. It was a sourdough bread. It's organic, so called. And that was nice just to see like the normal ingredients: wheat, yeast,
Yes, yes,
um, milk solids, and butter or something. Like, it was so nice just to see that as ingredients. But everything else is like, you pick up something, anything, especially in the US. Like overseas, it's not as bad, like I was saying, but in the US, you pick up anything and it's packaged, you're guaranteed you're going to have at least one toxic thing in there, if not
right,
more.
yeah. Well, probably multiples. I mean, because they
Oh,
just
yeah.
throw
Oh, for
everything in
sure.
there.
For sure. That's
Yeah,
for sure. But I am looking forward to the studies. And I was going to tell you too, if it's okay, I have if you guys want to read along with this, you can read in the Great Commission 3. We're going to be reading from the Sibylline Oracles. I also then have the Charlesworth. I think you have a Charlesworth book as well too, the translation of the pseudepigrapha there. And if you don't mind, I have a couple notes as we read,
yeah, of
just
course,
to
of
give
course.
some other references to Sibylline Oracles. And I wanted to see a little bit of background on Sibylline Oracles. I believe I've read somewhere, or maybe I heard you say it, that the Sibyl, at least one of the Sibyls, was Noah's daughter or daughter-in-law. I'm sorry. Was that right?
Um, Noah's daughter. I don't remember if that's,
Daughter-in-law.
but
Daughter-in-law.
daughter-in-law. I don't remember where I had heard that, but I do believe that is
Yeah.
the truth on the matter. Um, but please, yeah, if you would share whatever you have on the background of what we're going to go
Okay.
into.
I'm gonna just. Yeah, I do have a paragraph from the introduction, and again, this is from the Sibylline Oracles translation by James Charlesworth. It's a little bit newer translation. I think it's from the 1980s, as opposed to the older English language one. But he gives some pretty interesting introductions to these books. So I'll just read a little bit of introduction just so that everyone knows like who the Sibyl is supposed to be here. This is where I read it here. I found it. It says, the Sibyl is always depicted as an aged woman uttering ecstatic prophecies. Ovid tells us that she was granted by Apollo that she may live as many years as there were grains of sand on the seashore. However, she did not ask for youth, so she remained for thousands of years a shrunken old woman. It says, according to Ponticus, the Sibyl was older than Orpheus. If any historical prophetess ever underlay the figure of the Sibyl, she was already lost in the mists of legend by the 5th century. According to Heraclitus, she reaches through thousands of years with her voice. Her prophecy was even said to continue after her death, while her soul revolved in the face of the moon. She was sometimes thought to be the intermediate between the divine and human state, and a coin from Erythrea refers to her as Sibylla, the goddess Sibyl. But in Jewish tradition, this is the part I was talking about, she was said to be a daughter-in-law of Noah.
Oh, very
So
cool.
I thought that was pretty interesting. They have like the pagan background, and then we have the one that relates to the Bible. So
Um,
I thought that was an interesting.
that aligns with what the Thracian Chronicles all talks about because it speaks about the Sibyls as being in line with the same as the women that um, did the prophecies. What were those women called? All the kings and the different conquerors, they would go to them during the Roman times. But
Like an oracle, maybe?
yeah, the Oracle of Delphi. Yeah, the Oracle of
What?
Delphi. Delphi was
Yes, yes.
one of the locations where the Sibyls had established. They basically started an order. The same way that it talks about in the scriptures that um, the children of Shem, they had established all these places for the teaching of the Torah. What are those places called? I can't remember right now. But anyways, it was the for the men, and in similarity, there were also places where the women were taught in the manner of the feminine Holy Spirit wisdom, um, which in the Thracian they call her Rhea, which is the mother of all the angels, but also the mother of Christ. But anyways, these places were long sought out, and these were places that there were no temple prostitutes. Those are, found connected to um, the pagan religions, that kind of sacred prostitution, which is not a thing. That's heresy. But in the true manner of following the divine, the women remained virgins, and they would lose their power and their authority and their communication with the Most High should they fall to temptation or engage in sexual relations. And so the 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 main sibyls and the main prophetesses of like Delphi, and there were other locations. One was Kenosis, which is interesting. That's also where the labyrinth of the Minotaur was found. Um, and there's mentioned a few other places. I think there was like 6 of them. They're mentioned in the Book of Ari, which is one of the Thracian manuscripts that we have, and I wish that I could share with you. But we do have the audio files of all of those teachings. You can find on our playlist, the Thracian Chronicles, and the Book of Ari is there, as well as the Book of Navi and the Chronicles of Longinus, the Book of Adam and Ua, and others. So, but yeah, any other comment about anything else that you want to share with regard to the background, and then we can go into.
Yeah, I think that's it. Although in the chat, Zen, they're saying that your mic is a little bit low, especially compared to mine. I'm trying to sit back a little further from my mic, but maybe if you could either speak a little closer or turn it up a bit, that would be great. And then I think we're ready to go into it. Okay, great. And thank you, everyone in the chat. It's great to see our moderators here: Donna, Tammy, Sherry, Brick. Right on. Great to see you guys. Adrian,
right,
Patrick.
Yes. Thanks everybody for
there we
telling me
go.
it was down some. So
Perfect, Zen. Did you want to go ahead and start reading then, Zen?
yeah, why don't you start reading?
Okay. Did you want me to read from Charlesworth, or should we read from the Sacred Word Publishing translation, or what do you want to do?
Why don't we do both just to see what the comparison is?
Okay. I'll go ahead. I'm going to be reading from James Charlesworth's translation, so it might be a little bit different from what you guys are seeing in the Great Commission 3, but it's kind of similar. It's just like different Bible translations where the translator might use different words instead of others. So hopefully you can follow here. But we're going to start with Book 2. And again, this is the Sibylline Oracles. The first section is called The Inspiration of the Sibyl. When indeed God stopped my most perfectly wise song as I prayed many things, he also again placed in my breast a delightful utterance of wondrous words. I will speak the following with my whole person in ecstasy, for I do not know what I say, but God bids me utter each thing. Prophecy of disasters in the 10th generation. But when on earth there are raging earthquakes and thunderbolts, thunders and lightnings, and mildew of the land, and frenzy of jackals and wolves, and slaughters and destructions of men, and bellowing oxen, 4-footed cattle, and laboring mules, and goats and sheep, then much farmland will be left barren through neglect, and fruit will fail. Selling of free men into slavery will be practiced among very many people, and robbing of temples. Then, indeed, the 10th generation of men will also appear after these things, when the earth-shaking lightning giver will break the glory of idols and shake the people of seven-hilled Rome. Great wealth will perish, burned in a great fire by the flame of Hephaestus. There then will be bloody precipitation from heaven, but the entire world of innumerable men will kill each other in madness. In the tumult, God will impose famines and pestilence and thunderbolts on men, who adjudicate without justice. There will be a scarcity of men throughout the whole world, so that if one were to see a man's footprint on the ground, one would wonder. And I'm going to stop here then, just because there's a couple of other corresponding verses. Did you have comments you wanted to say about this first section?
No, but other than it's very interesting to have this translation as I'm reviewing this other translation. There are definitely differences, I guess as far as the translations of the passages. But yeah, very interesting how the differences, and I think we can learn from them as we review them. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree, Zen. I think we should go back and read the other translation, the one in the Great Commission 3 also, just so we
Yeah,
could see
I
the
will. I've
changes.
got that open. So.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. I did have look in the notes here in Charlesworth, and he's mentioning a link between this description that we just had and in between Second Esdras, chapter 5, verse 1 to 7. It reminded me of a lot of this when I was reading it. Did you want me to read that, Zen,
Please,
or just
yes.
give it as...
Absolutely.
Okay, so Second Esdras, also known as Fourth Ezra, chapter 5, verse 1 to 7. And this will sound very similar. Now concerning the signs, behold, the days are coming. Those who dwell on earth shall be seized with a great terror, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith, and unrighteousness shall be increased beyond what you yourself see, and beyond what you heard of formerly. And the land which you now see ruling shall be waste and untrodden, and men shall see it desolate. But if the Most High grants that you live, you shall see it thrown into confusion after the third period. And the sun shall suddenly shine forth at night, and the moon during the day. Blood shall drip from wood, and the stone shall utter its voice. The people shall be troubled, and the stars shall fall. And one shall reign, whom those who dwell on earth do not expect. And the birds shall fly away together, and the sea of Sodom shall cast up fish. And one whom the many do not know shall make his voice heard by night, and all shall hear his voice. Awesome. So to me, that kind of, that goes right along. I love Second Ezra's too, but it goes right along with Sybil. Isn't it great? I just love it.
It really is.
And also, yeah, and I love how these books correspond with each other. Of course, right. We can always go to the Gospels, like the narrative given by Christ himself in Matthew 24 or Mark 13. Also, there's a couple verses in Luke it corresponds with also, but it should sound pretty familiar as we're reading Sibylline oracles because, of course, everything corresponds, right? If it's truth being shared.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And this is a confirming witness. And the other thing with the Sibylline oracles is that this all predated even like the Roman Empire, and these were said to be pagan sources. But again, it's my belief that as the Thracian Chronicles shares and shows that even the oracles at Delphi, they were part of the priestesses that were established, the school system that was established for the women to study under wisdom, who of course is the Ruach HaKodesh, the feminine aspect of the Godhead. And so, and like I said, they were to remain virgins and proselytes, and they did not, fall to deviance, but remained holy and pure. And that's what gave them their gifts in the same manner that, people now that dedicate themselves to the kingdom, the Most High will utilize those individuals. And so there are modern prophets and prophetesses, and there have been people that have been in relations with the Most High since, the establishment of humanity in this world. So, all right, I'll read to the point where you are, and then we can go forward.
All right.
Now, while I much entreated, God restrained my wise song also in my breast again. He put the charming voice of words divine in my whole body, terror stricken. These I follow, for I know not that I speak, but God impels me to proclaim each thing. But when on earth come shocks, fierce thunderbolts, thunders and lightning storms, and evil blight, and rage of jackals and of wolves, manslaughter, destruction of man and of lowing kine, four-footed cattle and laborious mules, and goats and sheep, then shall ample field be barren from neglect, and fruits shall fail, and there shall be a selling of their freedom among most men, and robbery of temples. And then shall after these appear of men the 10th race, when the earth shaking lightener shall break the zeal for idols, and shall shake the people of seven-hilled Rome. And riches great shall perish, burned by Vulcan's fiery flame. And then shall bloody signs from heaven descend. But yet the whole world of unnumbered men in rage shall kill each other, and in tumult shall God send famines, plagues, and thunderbolts on men who without justice judge of rights, and lack of men shall be in all the world. So that if anyone beheld a trace of man on earth, he would be wonderstruck. I think this is about where you stopped.
Yes, yes. Then I wanted to note there's a note here. I was looking at that 10th, or it mentions the 10th generation of men, or the 10th race.
Uh-huh.
There's a note here in Charlesworth that says, note that also the flood took place in the 10th generation from Adam. So there's a similarity to the end time.
Right, yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. Okay, I will continue here in Charlesworth. Then further, the great God who lives in the sky will be a savior of pious men in all respects. Then also there will be deep peace and understanding, and the fruitful earth will again bear more numerous fruit, being neither divided nor in servitude any longer. Every harbor, every port will be free for men as it was before, and shamelessness will perish. And then again, God will perform a great sign, for a star will shine like a resplendent crown, resplendent, gleaming from the radiant heaven for no small number of days. For then he will show from heaven a crown to men who strive in contest. And I'm going to stop here just because there's another reference for Second Baruch, and there's also a First Enoch reference here. Cool. Zen, do you mind if I read this?
Please. Awesome.
Okay.
Love the multiple
Second
witnesses.
Baruch. Yeah, me too. I like these. So Second Baruch, chapter 29, verse 5 to 8. If you guys have that, you turn there. Second Baruch, chapter 29, verse 5 to 8. And I'll be reading that here from the Charlesworth translation. The earth will also yield fruit 10,000-fold, and on one vine will be 1,000 branches, and one branch will produce 1,000 clusters, and one cluster will produce 1,000 grapes, and one grape will produce a core of wine. And those who are hungry will enjoy themselves, and they will, moreover, see marvels every day. For winds will go out in front of me every morning to bring the fragrance of aromatic fruit and cloud at the end of the day to distill the dew of health. And it will happen at that time that the treasury of manna will come down again from on high, and they will eat of it in those years, because these are they who will have arrived at the consummation of time. I think that's so awesome. We get to taste what manna's like. That is going to be something to look forward to.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And then, did you have a comment, Zen?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that for those that are interested, these books that Lisa is referencing from, besides the Book of Enoch, they are also found in the Great Commission 3. all the end time apocalyptic narratives are found gathered together there. So
All right. And then also I'm going to be reading a quote from the book of First Enoch. First Enoch chapter 10, verses 18 to 20. That's First Enoch chapter 10, verse 18 to 20. All right. And in those days, the whole earth will be worked in righteousness, all of her planted with trees, and will find blessing. And they shall plant pleasant trees upon her, vines. And he who plants a vine upon her will produce wine for plenitude. And every seed that is sown on her, one measure will yield 1,000 measures. And one measure of olives will yield 10 measures of presses of oil. And you will cleanse the earth from all injustice, from all defilement, and from all oppression, from all sin, and from all iniquity, which is being done on the earth.
very, very cool. I love it.
Yeah, I like it how. So, did you want to read the other translation
Yeah.
there, Zen?
Yeah, I'll
Please.
read and catch up with
Okay.
you. All right.
Okay.
And then shall the great God who dwells in heaven, Savior of pious men in all things, prove, and then shall there be peace and wisdom deep, and the fruit-bearing land shall yield again abundant fruits, divided not in parts, not yet enslaved, and every harbor then, as formerly, and shamelessness shall perish. And then will God show mortals a great sign, for like a lustrous crown shall shine a star, bright, all resplendent, from the radiant heaven. Days not a few, and then will he display from heaven a crown for contest unto men who wrestle. And then there shall be again a mighty contest of triumphal march into the heavenly sky, and it shall be for all men in the world, and have the fame of immortality. All right, I'll stop there for you.
Okay, that's so cool. That star symbology, that's very similar to how Christ appeared to the Magi as
Right.
the form of a
Exactly.
star. I think that everything's going to come again to full circle here in the end
Right.
times, I believe.
Yes, and it did mention the Savior of men, so we know that's Christ. So
Yes, definitely. Okay, I'll continue here in Charlesworth. The heavenly contest. Then again, there will be a great contest for entry to the heavenly city. It will be universal for all men, holding the glory of immortality. Then every people will strive for the immortal prizes of most noble victory. For no one there can shamelessly buy a crown for silver. For Holy Christ will make just awards to these and crown the worthy. But to martyrs, he will give an immortal treasure. To those who pursue the contest even to death, he will give an imperishable prize from the treasure to virgins who run well, and to all men who perform justice, and to diverse nations who live piously and acknowledge one God, who love marriage and refrain from adultery. He will give rich gifts and eternal hope to these also. For every soul of mortals is a gracious gift of God, and it is not lawful for men to defile it with any grievous things.
I love it. That
Zen?
translation is awesome because that
I
full
like it a
on,
lot too.
it makes it absolutely clear that that is for the millennial age, and the entrance
Yes.
into New Jerusalem for what will be the Sabbath rest. Wow.
Yes.
I'm really glad you're reading from that translation. And also
Great. I'm
sharing
glad you
the
like it.
other connections. Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I'm just glad you like it too, Zen. I really like Charlesworth. To me, it makes it a lot clearer because it's kind of in how we speak today.
Yeah, and I think he also, you know, he translates it as a believer would, you know. Um,
Yes.
and so that makes it clear as far as its relations to the things that we've learned in the gospel narrative. So, all right.
Yes, exactly.
And every people shall then in the immortal contest strive for a splendid victory, for no one there can shamelessly with silver buy a crown. For unto them will the pure Christ adjudge that which is due, and crown the ones approved, and give his martyrs an immortal prize, who carry on the contest unto death. And unto chaste men, who run their race well, will he the incorruptible reward of the prize give, and to all men allot that which is due, and also to strange nations that live a holy life and know one God, and those who have regard for marriages, and keep themselves far from adulterers, to them rich gifts, eternal hopes, he'll give. For every human soul is God's free gift. And it's not right men stain it with vile deeds. Do not be rich unrighteously, but lead a life of probity. Be satisfied with what thou hast, and keep thyself from that which is another's. Speak not what is false, but have a care for all things that are true. Revere not idols vainly, but the God imperishable. Honor always first, and next thy parents. Render all things due, and into unjust judgment come thou not. Do not cast out the poor unrighteously, nor judge by outward show. If wickedly thou judgest, God hereafter will judge thee. Avoid false testimony. Tell the truth. Maintain thy virgin purity, and guard love among all. Deal measures that are just, for beautiful is measure full to all. Strike not the scales one side, but draw them equal. Forswear not ignorantly nor willingly. God hates the perjured man in that he swore. All right, I'll stop there. The reason I wanted to get just to that part is because it's clearly related to the Ten Commandments. I mean,
Oh, definitely.
absolutely. Without a doubt. All right, go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. Do not gain wealth unjustly, but live from legitimate things. Be satisfied with what is available, and refrain from what belongs to others. Do not tell lies, but preserve all truths. Do not revere idols to no good purpose, but always the imperishable one. First, honor God, then your parents. Dispense all things justly, and do not come to an unjust judgment. Do not unjustly cast down poverty. Do not be partial in judgment. If you judge badly, God will judge you later. Avoid false witness. Adjudicate justly. Guard that which is deposited with you. Preserve love in all things. Give just measures, but an overmeasure to all is good. Do not cheat in measuring, but weigh evenly. Do not commit perjury either in ignorance or willingly. God detests a perjurer, whatever one swears. Never accept in your hand a gift which derives from unjust deeds. Do not steal seeds. Whoever takes for himself is accursed. To generations of generations, to the scattering of life, do not practice homosexuality. Do not betray information. Do not murder. Give one who has labored his wage. Do not oppress a poor man. Take heed of your speech. Keep a secret matter in your heart. Make provision for orphans and widows and those in need. Do not be willing to act unjustly, and therefore do not give leave to one who is acting unjustly. Give to the poor at once, and do not tell them to come tomorrow. With perspiring hand, give a portion of corn to one who is in need. Whoever gives alms knows that he is lending to God. Mercy saves from death when judgment comes. God wants not sacrifice, but mercy instead of sacrifice. Therefore, clothe the naked. Give the hungry a share of your bread. Receive the homeless into your house and lead the blind. Pity the shipwrecked, for the voyage is uncertain. Give a hand to one who has fallen. Save a solitary man. All have a common lot, the wheel of life, unstable prosperity. If you have wealth, stretch out your hand to the poor. The things which God gave you, give of them to one in need. Every life of men is common, but falls out unequally. When you see a poor man, never mock him with words, and do not verbally abuse a person who is at fault. Life is assessed in death. Whether one acted lawlessly or righteously will be distinguished when one comes to judge.
Excellent. All right, I'll catch
Yes,
up.
I like it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's so much like it is like a summary of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, without a
Exactly.
doubt. And, it goes into elaboration, which I think that, you could like cut out this portion of this manuscript, put it with the Ten Commandments. I mean, that's another thing we could think of, just make another poster of these two portions because it brings forth such great elaboration. And
Oh,
it
good
makes
idea.
it,
I will
yeah,
run that
yeah.
by Kaylee.
Yeah, it's a good idea, I think. Yeah, let's do that. All right.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be perfect. All right, catching up. God hates the perjured
Yeah, I
man.
stopped it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Zen. I just want to let you know I stopped at the end of verse 90, so you know, and we
Okay.
have a couple minutes here till break.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll catch up then. All right. God hates the perjured man in that he swore, a gift proceeding out of unjust deeds never receive in hand. Do not steal seed, a curse through many generations. He who took it unto scattering of life. Indulge not vile lusts, slander not nor kill. Give the toil worn his hire. Do not afflict the poor man. Unto orphans help afford, and to widows and the needy talk with sense. Hold fast in heart a secret. Be unwilling to act unjustly, nor yet tolerate unrighteous men. Give to the poor at once, and say not, come tomorrow, of thy grain. Give to the needy with perspiring hand. He who gives alms knows how to lend to God. Mercy redeems from death when judgment comes. Not sacrifice, but mercy God desires, rather than sacrifice. Okay, a couple more minutes. The naked clothe, share thy bread with the hungry. In thy house, receive the shelterless and lead the blind. Pity the shipwrecked, for the voyage is uncertain. To the fallen give a hand, and save the man that stands without defense. Common to all is suffering, life's a wheel, riches unstable. Having wealth, reach out to the poor thy hand. Of what God gave to thee, bestow thou also on the needy one. Common is the whole life of mortal men, but it comes out unequal. When thou seest a poor man, never banter him with words, nor harshly accost a man who may be blamed. One's life and death is proven. If one did the unlawful or just, it shall be decided when he to judgment comes. All right, we'll stop there. I'll give you a chance to comment. We'll pick it up on the other side.
I really like this because it's so much clearer than what we get in the book of Genesis or even kind of throughout the
Yes.
Bible, where it just flat out says take the homeless into your house. Like
Right.
there's a lot of homeless to choose from nowadays.
Right. Right.
But yeah, that's what he means when he says help the poor. I mean,
Yeah, the
help
orphan,
those
the
in need,
widows, all those in need.
and don't
Absolutely.
expect them to, yeah, and don't expect them to pay you back because they probably
Right.
can't. So just give.
We should have no expectation of reward, but do it for goodness
Right.
sake. You know, we're to do good for goodness
Yes.
sake. Just because it feels good to care for others and to take care of others. That's what God does to us, you know, with everything. The
Yes.
abundance of the bounty, the rain, the way all the crops grow. I mean, the Most High, it services us in great abundance. There should be no suffering nor lack of, you know, anything, shelter, food. Oh, we're at break. All right, we'll be right back, everyone. All right. Welcome back, everybody, for a second hour. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. I'm here together with Lisa George, and we are doing a part 5 on the Great Commission 3, which you can find at our website, sacredwordpublishing.com. Also, I did post a link in the chat room um, to the T-shirts that we make for Bitcoin and Trump and MAGA and crypto adoption, and I'm going to be making other T-shirts soon too. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, I definitely want to do some with, particular Bible passages. But if you have any ideas, send them in to us. Let us know. We'll try to cater to the demand. But also, we'll be. I need to put the links for like the posters, but that Kylie just made and others that we'll do. But you can find all those at sacredwordpublishing.com.net as well as Lisa's books and the EMF blockers and all the other stuff that she provides and sells as well. All right, Lisa, I'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Zen. I'm looking forward to talking to Kaylee about making this next poster because she's so good at it. I just give her some ideas and she does it. That's why I thought we need to get that genealogies one out. I'm excited to see what yours looks like when you receive yours, and then to get that one published. That's going to be awesome for people to be able to buy.
I think so. And it's definitely a fascinating study, and it's going to be something that people can put up in their living rooms or in their kitchens or whatever, and it will definitely be a conversation piece, because most people
totally
do not know anything about that teaching, even just the first 10 generations, and this goes all the way through, the children, the 12 tribes and all. So.
Oh, definitely. It's super cool. But okay, I think I'm going to read in Charlesworth where the text that you read, and we'll see the differences. And if anyone has any comments, you guys can put those in the chat. And like what Zen mentioned before the break, we do have a short prayer meeting before our class every weekend, right after Digital Readers Club. So if you do have prayer requests, you can send it to me in email at biblicalhebrewhawaii@gmail.com. Or you could put it in the chat, and hopefully one of the moderators will see it if I don't see it, because if I'm reading, I can't see the chat. But if you put it in all capital letters, if you have a prayer request, then we're more likely to be able to see it. Thank you so much, moderators, for putting up those links too for our products that are at sacredwordpublishing.com. And we just really appreciate this whole community. It is so much like a family. And I really love studying with all of you and reading your comments as well. So I'm going to continue here. This is in this book. I think the verses are a little bit different between the two translations, but in this book, it's comes right after verse 90. Do not damage your mind with wine or drink to excess. Do not eat blood. Abstain from what is sacrificed to idols. Gird on the sword, not for killing, but for defense. May you not use it either lawlessly or righteously. For even if you kill an enemy, you defile your own hand. Keep off a neighboring field. Do not trespass. Every boundary is just, but trespass is grievous. The acquisition of legitimate things is profitable, but that of unjust things is bad. Do not damage any fruit of the soil when it is growing. Let strangers have equal honor among citizens, for all will experience exile of many hardships as guests of each other. But no one will be a stranger among you, since you are all mortals of one blood. And a country has no secure place for men. Neither wish to be wealthy nor pray for it, but pray for this, to live on a little, having nothing unjust. The love of money is mother of all evil. Have no desire for gold or silver. Also in these there will be a double-edged iron, which destroys the spirit. Gold and silver are always a deception for men. Life-destroying gold, originator of evils, crushing all things. Would that you were not a desired affliction for men. For because of you are battles, plunderings, murders, children hostile to their parents, and brothers to their kindred. I wanted to stop here. I'll make a few comments real quick, and I want to hear what you have to say, Zen. So this is another part of the commandments that is clearly spelled out here, and I can see some of the New Testament verses in here, like from First Corinthians, from Acts. There's a lot of things that the disciples are also in their writings placing in the New Testament, also from the Torah, from Deuteronomy, from Exodus. And I think it's really interesting. Do not damage any fruit of the soil when it is growing. That's an interesting one, because what do we consider fruit of the soil? Like, there's certain plants here in Hawaii that the government has said said that they're weeds, or said that they're like pest plants or something. But as we're learning, every single plant has a use. Like the things that we're calling weeds are most likely medicinal, is what I'm finding. What are your thoughts, man?
Oh yeah, I mean, even the dandelion, that that's basically, people spray their yards to keep dandelion from coming up in their yards. I don't do that, even though a long time ago we had my dad, when he was living with me before he passed away, he had the whole yard sodded, so that it never had weeds or anything. But I never did spray it with all those toxins and poisons, because I think the dandelions are beautiful, and you can eat them, you can use them, the dandelion leaves in salads, and there's medicinal properties to them. And then there's other things. I mean, yeah, as you said, like I have goldenrod that just grows wildly in the back of my yard, and we have a bunch of other different herbs and things, and all of them can be utilized, and so yeah, I agree with you. We don't even know the benefits and the blessings that all the variety of plants have on different aspects of disease and illness. So yeah, I fully agree.
Right. And I also like the part where it says, let strangers have equal honor among citizens. That's always something that we hear over and over in the Bible and in other extra biblicals, that you need to be accepting of strangers, not like Sodom and Gomorrah. Like that's an example of not being friendly to strangers to the extreme, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but we did see that when we travel abroad. Like the country, it seems like the countries, especially the Philippines, they are so open-handed to strangers. Like we went to visit. We were staying in an Airbnb for like 2 nights in this one city then, and we asked our Airbnb host. We asked her if she knew of any realtors, because we wanted to look at some property. So she said, "Oh yeah, I have a friend." And she called her. She called us and said, "Oh, can we pick you up in the morning? We want to take you around. This is your first time to this area of the Philippines." And they really, oh my goodness, they treated us like we were royalty or something. Like they drove us all over. They took us to this beautiful restaurant, and they don't, their pay is like 1/4 of what U.S. pay is. We know they really don't have money, but they took us to some of the properties. One of the houses that was for sale under this realtor, we met this beautiful couple. The wife was Filipina and the husband was from Great Britain. And they were close to our age. And so we started talking to them. We talked to them for like 15 minutes, and they said, "Well, where are you guys staying tonight?" And I said, "Well, we're probably going to check into a hotel because someone else is moving into the Airbnb we've been staying in." And they said, "Well, why don't you just stay with us? We have an extra room." We were looking at this gorgeous house that we're walking around in, and we said, "Are you sure? Like, you just met us?" They said, "No, of course, just come. How long do you want to stay? You want to stay for a week? However long you want to stay."
Yeah, that's very cool.
We stayed there for 4 nights, and they took us around. They were just so welcoming, so kind. The people there they definitely follow this commandment for sure.
And that's the way it should be. We should be kind to others, especially travelers, because that's definitely one of the provisions that the Most High gave to the ancient patriarchs. Like Abraham, he set up that the tent near the Oak of Mamre, and how it was
Right.
a way station, and how he fed travelers, washed their feet, provide shelter. So yeah, I think it's important to the Most High to be kind to others and to provide them with their basic necessities. Food, water, and shelter, things like that. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. We definitely saw that apparent as we're traveling around. It's just they're very, very open, and for being so, I guess, kind of looked down in a way by the U.S. just because the dollar is worth so much more than the Philippine peso.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a crime what their pesos are worth compared to the U.S. I could totally tell the UN does not like the Philippines for some reason, and we probably know why since it's a lost tribe location. But a school teacher in the Philippines makes the equivalent of 500 US dollars per month. That's how different it is
Yeah.
compared to here.
Yeah. Most of the world lives still, 80% less than on $2 a day. So yeah,
Right,
it's
exactly.
all right. Okay, I'll read till I catch up to you.
Okay.
Having wealth, reach out to the poor, thy hand of what God gave to thee. Bestow thou also on the needy one. Common is the whole life of mortal men, but it comes out unequal. When thou seest a poor man, never banter him with words, nor harshly accost a man who may be blamed. One's life and death is proven. If one did the unlawful or the just, it shall be decided when he to judgment comes. Disable not thy mind with wine, nor drink excessively. Eat not blood, and abstain from things offered to idols. Gird not on the sword for slaughter, but defense, and would thou might it neither lawlessly nor justly use. For if thou kill an enemy, thy hand thou dost defile. Keep from thy neighbor's field, nor trespass on it. Just as every landmark, and trespass painful. Useful is possession of lawful wealth, but of unrighteous gains 'tis worthless. Harm not any growing fruit of the field, and let strangers be esteemed in equal honor with the citizens. For much enduring hospitality shall all experience as each other's guests. But let there not be anyone a stranger among you, since ye mortals all of you are of one blood, and no land has for men any sure place. Wish not nor pray for wealth, but pray to live for few things, from few things, and possess nothing at all unjust. The love of gain is mother of all evil. Do not long for gold or silver. In them there will be a double-edged and soul-destroying iron. A snare to men continually are gold and silver. Gold of evil's source of life destructive, troubling all things. Would that thou wert not to mortals such a longed for bane? For wars because of thee, and pillaging and murders come, and children hate their sires, and brothers and sisters, those of their own blood. Plot no deceit, and do not arm thy heart against a friend. Keep not concealed within a different thought from what thou speakest forth. All right, I'll stop there.
Okay. I just noticed then when you said the love of gain in this translation is mother of all evil. That's another point about the serpent seed doctrine, or the serpent seed truth, I guess we could say, is why would Adam name his first son Gain if it's the mother of all evil?
Right.
That's what it means, right? That, to me, that just
Right,
popped out.
right.
Okay. All right, I will continue. Do not weave plots, and do not arm your heart against a friend. Do not hide one thought in your heart while you say another. Do not change in your place like a many-footed creature which clings to rock. Be straightforward with all. Speak what comes from your soul. Whoever deliberately does injustice is an evil man. As for one who acts under compulsion, I will not pronounce his end, but let the counsel of each man be straight. Do not boast of wisdom or strength or wealth. There is one, God, at once wise, powerful, and rich. Do not wear out your heart with passing evils, for that which has happened can no longer be undone. Be not precipitous to the hand. Bridle wild anger, for often one who struck a blow unintentionally committed murder. Let your passions be normal, neither great nor excessive. Abundant profit is not a good thing for mortals. Much luxury draws toward inordinate desires. Great wealth is proud and it fosters arrogance. Ire, when it takes the initiative, fashions a destructive frenzy. Anger is a propensity, but wrath goes to excess. The zeal of the good is noble, but that of the bad is bad. The daring of the wicked is destructive, but that of the good brings glory. Love of virtue is revered, but that of Aphrodite augments disgrace. A man who is too simple is called a fool among the citizens. Eat, drink, and discourse in moderation. Of all things, moderation is best, but excess is grievous. Be not envious or faithless or slanderer or of an evil mind or an inordinate deceiver. Practice temperance. Refrain from base deeds. Do not imitate evil, but leave vengeance to justice. For persuasion is a profit, but strife engenders strife in turn. Do not trust quickly before you see the end with certainty. Okay, I'll stop here. It kind of reminds me of a lot of Paul's writings about do all things
Yes.
in moderation. Like,
Right. Yeah, you see fully a lot of what was professed by the apostles in these teachings and in these writings. So,
oh, definitely.
all right, I'll pick up where I left off. Nor like rock clinging polyp, change with place, but with all be frank in things from thy soul. Speak thou forth. Whosoever wilfully commits a wrong, an evil man is he. But he that does it under force, the end I tell not. But let each man's will be right. Pride not thyself in wisdom, power, or wealth. God only is the wise and mighty one, and full of riches. Do not vex thy heart with evils that are past, for what is done can never be undone. Let not thy hand be hasty, but ferocious passion curb. For many times has one in striking done murder without design. Let suffering be common, neither great nor overmuch. Excessive good has not brought forth to men that which is helpful, and much luxury leads to immoderate lusts. Much wealth is prowl, and makes one grow to wanton violence. Passionate feeling creeping in affects destructive madness. Anger is a lust, and when it is excessive, it is wrath. The zeal of good men is a noble thing, but of the base is base. Of wicked men the boldness is destructive, but renown follows that of the good. To be revered is virtuous love, but that of Cyprus works increase of shame. A silly man is called very agreeable among his fellows with moderation. Eat, drink, and converse. Of all things, moderation is the best. But trespass of its limit brings to grief. Be not thou envious, faithless, or abusive, or evil-minded, or a false deceiver. Be prudent and abstain from shameless deeds. Imitate not what's evil, but leave thou vengeance to justice. For persuasion is a useful thing, but strife engenders strife. All right, I'll stop there, Lisa.
Okay. Yeah, it does really sound so similar to what the New Testament apostles write about, like Paul, the other apostles. It's just really cool how it lines up like this.
And it's common sense goodness,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, it really is.
It really is.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Okay. This is the contest. These are the prizes. These are the awards. This is the gate of life and entry to immortality, which the heavenly God appointed as reward of victory for most righteous men. But they, when they receive the crown, will pass through this in glory. But whenever this sign appears throughout the world, children born with gray temples from birth, afflictions of men, famines, pestilence, and wars, change of times, lamentations, many tears. Alas, how many people's children in the countries will feed on their parents with piteous lamentations? They will place their flesh in cloaks and bury them in the ground. Mother of peoples, defiled with blood and dust. Oh, very wretched, dread evildoers of the last generation, infantile, who do not understand that when the species of females does not give birth, the harvest of articulate men has come. The gathering together is near, when some deceivers, in place of prophets, approach, speaking on earth. The liar also will come and will do many signs for men. Then, indeed, there will be confusion of holy, chosen, and faithful men, and there will be a plundering of these and of the Hebrews. A terrible wrath will come upon them when a people of 10 tribes will come from the east to seek the people which the shoot of Assyria destroyed of their fellow Hebrews. Nations will perish after these things. I'm going to stop here. That's really packed. I want to hear your translation. So.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I was right where you started. So this is the contest. These are the rewards. These are the prizes. This is the gate of life. An entrance into immortality, which God in heaven unto most righteous men appointed a reward for victory. And through this gate shall gloriously pass those who shall then receive the victor's crown. But when this sign shall everywhere appear, children with gray hair on their temples born, and human sufferings, famines, plagues, and wars, and change of times, and many a tearful wail. Ah, oh, how many parents in the lands will children mourn and piteously weep, and with shrouds bury flesh and limbs in earth. Mother of peoples with the blood and dust, themselves defiling, O ye wretched men of the last generation, evildoers, terrible, childish, not perceiving this, that when the tribes of women do not bear, the harvest time of mortal men is come. Near is the ruin when impostors come, instead of prophets speaking on the earth. And Beliar shall come, and many signs perform for men. And then of holy men, elect and faithful, there shall be confusion, and pillaging of them and of the Hebrews. And there shall be upon them fearful wrath, when from the east a people of 12 tribes shall come in search of kindred Hebrew people, whom Assyrian shoot destroyed, and over these shall nations perish. But they afterwards shall over men exceeding mighty rule, elect and faithful Hebrews, and enslave them as before, since their power never shall fail. He that is highest of all, the all surveying, dwelling in heaven, will scatter sleep on men, covering the eyelids over. O blessed servants, whom, when the Master comes, he finds awake. And they all watch at all times, and expect with sleepless eyes, for it will be at dawn, or eve, or midday, but he sure shall come. All right, I'll stop there.
Okay, I have a couple of other texts that relate to what we read about all these signs at the end. It sounds
Great.
so familiar, and I think there's a reason why. I mean, there's a lot of this same type of language in the Bible, but I wanted to refer to especially 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse 21. First, we'll take a look at that one. 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse 21. It says, I'll go back a little bit. And when the seal is placed upon the age which is about to pass away, then I will show these signs. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and all shall see it together. Infants a year old shall speak with their voices, and women with child shall give birth to premature children at 3 or 4 months, and these shall live and dance. Sown places shall suddenly appear unsown, and full storehouses shall suddenly be found to be empty. So that's a little bit lining up. I thought it was interesting about the children born with gray temples from birth.
Yeah.
Because we just read that in the Apocalypse of Elijah about the Antichrist having some graying thing going on with his head.
That's also part of the last cry, the Native American prophecy on the blue and red star Kachinas, which I've shared some of that.
Really?
And it's also in the Colburn Bible as well, on the coming of the destroyer.
Nice. I like it when there's all these other witnesses. I have to go back and find your show where you shared about with the Kachina. I don't remember that one. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a very interesting manuscript.
Also, the prophecy about the 10 tribes coming from the east, that also relates with 2nd Esdras chapter 13. 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 40. And if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read that.
Yeah, please.
This is the vision. Yeah, this is the vision that Ezra had. And the Most High sent the angel to help him with the interpretation. And so this is the interpretation part. So it says, and as for your seeing him gather to himself another multitude that was peaceable, these are the 10 tribes which were led away from their own land into captivity in the days of King Hoshea, whom Shalmaneser, the king of the Assyrians, led captive. He took them across the river, and they were taken into another land. But they formed this plan for themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the nations and go to a more distant region where mankind had never lived, that there at least they might keep their statutes, which they had not kept in their own land. And they went in by the narrow passages of the Euphrates River, for at that time the Most High performed signs for them and stopped the channels of the river until they had passed over. Through that region there was a long way to go, a journey of 1.5 years, and that country is called Arzaret. I think that is so cool because that's a total lost tribe prophecy, and that the land where mankind had never lived, there's a desert area on the island of Luzon, which is used to be called Ophir, in before the Spanish took over and renamed everything. And it was called Ophir because that was where the sons of Joktan had traveled. It's mentioned in Genesis chapter 10, the Table of Nations, where Joktan had 12 sons, and 3 of his sons were named Ophir, Sheba, and Havilah. And so they named the lands after where they settled. And
Nice.
this is kind of like a second Exodus that happened here, because he stopped the Euphrates River, kind of like what he did with the Red Sea, so the tribes could pass over. And then it took a year and a half to get to this land. And they call it Arzareth here in the book of Esdras. But that just means in Hebrew, another land. And so the place where they settled on the island of Luzon, there's a desert area there that not too many people know, that Philippines actually has a whole desert area. And the desert area is called Sinai. It's very similar to the Sinai desert. They have like four-wheeling on sand dunes and all kinds of things happening there. They'll even have the Sinai River. And that is where the lost tribes were believed to have originally sailed to when they left this area, because it took them a year and a half. That's like kind of like code in the Bible. If it takes a year and a half to travel to the Far East, they're most likely going to Ophir. So, but there's remnants of the lost tribes all through that entire region. They still keep Torah. They wear the tzitzit, the fringe on their outfit. I mean, it's so similar. That's and so cool. Like we visited one, like I shared with you before, we visited a tribe a little bit south of that area that claimed that their ancestors were the Levites. So there's that also. But I love it how even Sibling Oracles mentions them, the Hebrews, that they will be the 10 tribes coming from the east to seek the other 2 tribes that migrated to the south. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Okay, so thank you again for that. Did you have anything else you wanted to add about the reading you just did, Zen? Or should we continue?
Other than where it mentions Beliar, of course, that's Antichrist. So we are getting into the portion of where, Revelation 11, it's going to make mention of Elijah, how he'll be part of one of the 2 witnesses. But yeah, I love this text, but is it my turn?
Yes, me too.
Or are you reading still?
I think I'll continue on. We're both caught up together here. So.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think you caught up to where I was yet.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and continue where I was at here. Later, the faithful chosen Hebrews will rule over exceedingly mighty men, having subjected them as of old, since power will never fail. The Most High, who oversees all, living in the sky, will spread sleep over men, having closed their eyes. O blessed servants, as many as the master, when he comes, finds awake, for they have all stayed awake all the time, looking instantly with sleepless eyes. For he will come at dawn or evening or midday. He will certainly come, and it will be as I say. It will come to pass for future generations, when from the starry heaven all the stars appear in midday to all, with the 2 luminaries as time presses on. Then the Thesbite, driving a heavenly chariot at full stretch from heaven, will come on earth and then display 3 signs to the whole world as life perishes. Alas, for as many as are found bearing in the womb on that day, for as many as suckle infant children, for as many as dwell upon the wave, alas, for as many as will see that day, for a dark mist will cover the boundless world, east and west and south and north. And then a great river of blazing fire will flow from heaven and will consume every place, land and great ocean and gleaming sea, lakes and rivers, springs and implacable Hades, and the heavenly vault. But the heavenly luminaries will crash together, also into an utterly desolate form. For all the stars will fall together from heaven on the sea. All the souls of men will gnash their teeth, burning in a river, and brimstone, and a rush of fire in a fiery plain, and ashes will cover all. And then all the elements of the world will be bereft: air, land, sea, light, vault of heaven, days, nights. No longer will innumerable birds fly in the air. Swimming creatures will no longer swim the sea at all. No laden ship will voyage on the waves. No guiding oxen will plow the soil. No sound of trees under the winds, but at once all will melt into one and separate into clear air. Then the imperishable angels of immortal God, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, who know what evils anyone did previously, lead all the souls of men from the murky dark to judgment, to the tribunal of the great immortal God. For one alone is imperishable, the universal ruler himself, who will be judge of mortals. Zen?
Yeah, this is again. It goes into the return of the two witnesses. I just read the portion about the coming of Antichrist Beliar, which simply means the worthless one. And then
Right.
we get into the dissolution of the worlds, which I always talk about how it will be at the end of the 6,000 years, or the 6 days leading to the millennial age, the Sabbath rest. That at that point is when there's a new heaven and a new earth, and it's before Messiah returns and descends down to the earth. And it's before New Jerusalem descends out of the heavens to come to the earth as well. All that is found in great detail in the Revelation of St. John, the theologian, but this is one of those manuscripts which confirms this teaching in this way as well. So.
Oh, totally. Totally. I was thinking of that same text you were describing. I think we're going to eventually get to that in the Great Commission 3, the Apocalypse of St. John the Theologian is one of my favorites also. And it's
yeah, that's one of my
most
favorite too. And we'll definitely, when we read through that, do as you're doing with bringing out other references to other manuscripts that align with all that. Because that book makes the end times just so clear as to what's going to happen and how it will unfold. All right.
Totally.
Whom when the master comes, he finds awake, and they all watch at all times and expect with sleepless eyes, for it will be at dawn or eve or midday, but he sure shall come. And it shall be as I say it shall be, to them that sleep, that from the starry heaven the stars at midday will to all appear, with the two lights as the time hastens on. And then the Tishbit, we know Elijah, urging from the heaven his chariot, celestial and on earth arriving, shall to all the world display 3 evil signs of life to be destroyed. Alas for all the women in that day who shall be found with burden in the womb. Alas for all who suckle tender babes. Alas for all who shall dwell on the waves. Alas for women who shall see that day. For a dark mist shall hide the boundless world, east, west, and south, and north. And then shall flow a mighty stream of burning fire from heaven, and every place consume, earth, ocean, vast and gleaming sea, and lakes and rivers, springs, and cruel Hades and the heavenly sky. And into outward from all desolate, for stars from heaven shall fall into all seas, and all the souls of men shall gnash their teeth, burned both by sulfur, stream, and force of fire. In ravenous soil and ashes hide all things, and then of the world all the elements shall be bereft, air, earth, sea, light, sky, days, nights. And no longer in the air shall fly birds without number, nor shall living things that swim in the sea swim any more at all. Nor freighted vessel over the billows pass, nor kind straight guiding plow the field, nor sound of furious winds, but he shall fuse all things together, and shall pick out what is pure. But when the immortal gods, eternal angels, Arachiel, Ramiel, Uriel, Samiel, and Azazel, they that know how many evils anyone did before, shall from dark gloom then lead to judgment all the souls of men. before the judgment seat of the great God, immortal, for imperishable is one only, himself the Almighty, one who shall be judge of mortals, and to them that dwell beneath will then the heavenly one give souls and spirit and voice, and also bones, fitted with joints unto all kinds of flesh, and both the flesh and sinews, veins, skin, and the body and hair as before, divinely fashioned and with breathing, moved, shall bodies of those on earth one day be raised. And then shall Uriel, mighty angel, break the bolts of stern and lasting adamant, which monstrous bull the brazen gates of Hades. Straight cast them down and unto judgment, lead all forms that have endured much suffering, chiefly the shapes of Titans, born of old, and giants, and all whom the deluge overwhelmed, and all that perished in the billowy seas, and all that furnished banquet for the beasts, and creeping things, and fowls. These in a mass shall see Uriel summoned to the judgment seat, and also those whom flesh-devouring fire destroyed in flame. Even these shall he collect and place before the judgment seat of God. All right, I'll stop there and let you catch up.
Okay. I just want to note too, it looks like that there's a translator's note down here at the bottom if there's any confusion with the names of the angels being a little different between the two translations. I noticed your translation has in there Azael. It says the translator said that it follows that it actually, the other translation could read Barakiel, Ramiel, Uriel, Samiel, and Aziel. But then it says Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael in varying sequence are the most usual archangels. And they're mentioned, of course, in First Enoch and Apocalypse of Moses. And then it says Uriel is replaced by Phanuel in First Enoch in several different verses, and by Sariel in Qumran fragment. And Barakiel, Ramiel, and Aziel are the fallen angels in Genesis chapter 6. So Samael, of course, we know Samael is an evil angel.
Yes.
And so there's just kind of a little bit discrepancy, but that's why. It was just according to the translator. But I'll go ahead and continue here, Zen.
Thank you for reading that.
No, sure. Then the heavenly one will give souls and breath and voice to the dead, and bones fastened with all kinds of joinings, flesh and sinews and veins and skin about the flesh, and the former hairs, bodies of humans made solid in heavenly manner, breathing and set in motion, will be raised on a single day. Then Uriel, the great angel, will break the gigantic bolts of unyielding and unbreakable steel of the gates of Hades, not forged of metal. He will throw them wide open and will lead all the mournful forms to judgment, especially those of ancient phantoms, titans, and the giants, and such as the flood destroyed. Also those whom the wave of the sea destroyed in the oceans, and as many as wild beasts and serpents and birds devoured. All these he will call to the tribunal. Again, those whom the flesh-devouring fire destroyed by flame, these also he will gather and set at the tribunal of God, when Sabaoth Adonai, who thunders on high, dissolves fate and raises the dead and takes his seat on a heavenly throne and establishes a great pillar. Christ, imperishable himself, will come in glory on a cloud toward the imperishable one with the blameless angels. He will sit on the right of the great one, judging at the tribunal the life of pious men and the way of impious men. Moses, the great friend of the Most High, also will come, having put on flesh. Great Abraham himself will come, Isaac and Jacob, Joshua, Daniel and Elijah, Habakkuk and Jonah, and those whom the Hebrews killed. He will destroy all the Hebrews after Jeremiah, judged on the tribunal, so that they may receive and make appropriate retribution for as much as anyone did in mortal life. And then all will pass through the blazing river and the unquenchable flame. All the righteous will be saved, but the impious will then be destroyed for all ages, as many as formerly did evil or committed murders, and as many as are accomplices, liars, crafty thieves, dread destroyers of houses, parasites, adulterers, who pour out slander, terrible violent men, and lawless ones, idol worshippers, as many as abandoned the great immortal God and became blasphemers and ravagers of the pious, breakers of faith and murderers of righteous men, and as many elders and reverend deacons as by crafty and shameless duplicity regard, judge with respect, dealing unjustly with others, trusting in deceitful statements, more destructive than leopards and wolves, and most wicked, or as many as are very arrogant, or are usurers, who gather interest upon interest in their homes, and harm in each case orphans and widows, or as many as give to widows and orphans what derives from unjust deeds, and as many as make reproach when they give from the fruit of their own labors, as many as abandon their parents in old age, not making return at all, not providing nourishment to their parents in turn, also as many as disobeyed or answered back an unruly word to their parents, or as many as denied pledges they had taken. And such servants as turned against their masters, again, those who defiled the flesh by licentiousness, or as many as undid the girdle of virginity by secret intercourse, as many as aborted what they carried in the womb, as many as cast forth their offspring unlawfully. Wow, that's like a long list of horrible crimes. It's going to be distinct definitely between the righteous and the wicked. Right. I think it's cool. I wanted to mention how they describe the titans and the giants, and such as the flood destroyed.
Right.
And that's Uriel.
Yeah,
Uriel. It goes right along with the book of Enoch. Yeah, it goes right along with the book of Enoch here. Mm-hmm. That is amazing.
Yeah, this is an amazing read. And, most people have never heard of it. All right.
Right.
Let me continue so we can try to finish it out.
All right.
All right. And when the high thundering Lord of Sabaoth, making an end of fate, shall raise the dead, sit on his heavenly throne, and firmly fix the mighty pillar, then amid the clouds Christ, who himself is incorruptible, shall come unto the incorruptible, in glory with pure angels, and shall sit at the right hand on the great judgment seat, to judge the life of the pious and the way of impious men. And Moshe, the great friend of the Most High, shall come enrobed in flesh. Also great Abraham himself shall come, Isaac and Jacob, Joshua, Daniel, Elijah, Habakkuk, and Jonah, and those whom the Hebrews slew. But he'll destroy the Hebrews after Jeremiah, all who are to be judged at the judgment seat, that worthy recompense they may receive, and pay for all each did in mortal life. And then shall all pass through the burning stream of flame, unquenchable, but all the just shall be saved, and the godless furthermore shall to all ages perish, all who did evils aforetime, and committed murders, and all who are accomplices therein, liars and thieves and ruiners of home, crafty and terrible and parasites, and marriage breakers pouring forth vile words, dread, wanton, lawless, and idolaters, and all who left the great immortal God, became blasphemers, did the pious harm, destroying faith and killing righteous men, and all that with a shamelessness, deceitful and double-faced, rushed in as presbyters, give unjust judgments, yielding to false words, more hurtful than the leopards and the wolves, and more vile, and ill that are grossly proud and usurers, who gains on gains amass, and damage orphans and widows in each thing. And all that give to widows and to orphans the fruit of unjust deeds, and all that cast reproach in giving from their own hard toils, and all that left their parents in old age, not paying them at all, nor offering to parents filial duty, and all who were disobedient and against their sires spoke a harsh word, and all that pledges took, and then denied them, and the servants all who were against their masters, and again those who licentiously defiled the flesh, and all who loosed the girdles of the maid for secret intercourse, and all who caused abortions, and all who their offspring cast unlawfully away, and sorcerers and sorceresses with them, and these wrath of the heavenly and immortal God shall drive against the pillar, where shall all around in a circle flow a restless stream of fire. And deathless angels of the immortal God, whoever is shall bind with lasting bonds, in chains of flaming fire, and from above punish them all by scourge most terribly. And in Gehenna, in the gloom of night, shall they be cast beneath many horrid beasts of Tartarus, where darkness is immense. But when there shall be many punishments enforced on all who had an evil heart, yet afterward shall there a fiery wheel from a great river circle them round, because they had a care for wicked deeds. And then one here, another there, shall sires, young children, mothers, nursing babes in tears, wail their most piteous fate. No fill of tears shall be for them, nor piteous voice be heard of them that moan, one here, another there, but long worn under dark dank Tartarus, and shall they cry, and they shall repay in cursed places thrice as much as all the evil work they did, burned with much fire, and all of them consumed by raging thirst, and hunger shall in anguish gnash their teeth, and call death beautiful, and death shall flee away from them. For neither death nor night shall ever give them rest. All right, I'm going to stop here. I will finish this up on the next segment. There's still a little bit, especially about the righteous. But when we do read from that, Lisa, we'll also read from the wisdom of Solomon. In chapter 3 and 4, it gives this same differentiation between what the wicked will receive and what the just will receive. And so it will be appropriate to what we're reading from. But let me give you a chance for a final comment.
Yeah, I think that this makes it so extremely clear of all the things that the Most High hates. And it's just spelled out right there. Exactly. I mean, it even talks about aborted children, and right. As many as they carried in the womb and cast forth their offspring unlawfully. I mean, wow, you can't get any more clear than that.
Right, and you see all these woke churches that teach that God is just and loving and cares for everybody, but no, he has certain hatreds, and he hates the unjust, and he hates those that are abominable and that do wrong as he is cited within the scriptures, and that are against him in their will and their doings. And so, yes, God does hate. He hates the wicked. He hates the unjust. He hates sorcerers and evildoers, murderers, and I mean, the list is long, but he loves those that follow his commandments and that do good for goodness sake. And that's the side that we strive to be on. Lisa?
He especially loves repentance. So if you have committed any of these deeds that we read about, Most High loves repentance. Just think about your child. How wonderful it is when your child comes in and apologizes for something they did wrong. That Most High just loves it. He is ready and willing to forgive anything. Yes, exactly.
Yes. We are all the prodigal children, and God is long suffering and just wants us to come home to be with Him. All right, everybody, we
Amen.
love you. Thank you, moderators and listeners. This Saturday, we'll be back on the Zen Garcia channel. Thank you for joining us. Be blessed. Shalom. Good night.
Good night. Good night, Zen.
Good
Thank you,
night,
Zen.
Lisa. Be blessed.